Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the UCPS. Whoops, that's new. UCPS Policy Committee. Today is Wednesday, May 26, 2021. I call this meeting to order, starting with the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is approval of open session minutes, April 28, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Or
All those in favor?
aye.
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 First up are policies for second review.
Okay, good morning, everyone. These policies are all similarly situated, so I will talk about them in bulk and then we can separate them in any way that you all want to. These all went to the board for first review, and I've received no comment or feedback from stakeholders in any way to make any proposed revisions since it went to the board. Staff would ask that these all go for approval at the June 1st board meeting.
Any questions, comments?
No.
All right, let's move on to policies for first review.
Do you want to do a motion here or at the end to send?
We can do that. You want to go ahead and do a motion to send policy 3-2, policy 3-6, policy 3-3, policy 4-16, policy 5-22 to the full board on June the 1st.
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll go to policies for first review. First up is policy 1-12, public participation at board meetings.
Yes, this policy was at the request of the board and the committee to put on the agenda. I did not know specifically what changes the board was considering, so I put the original policy in the agenda, not to presuppose some things. There are some things that staff would like the board to consider when looking at this. This for changes. One is that people signing in, and you sign in for public comments 1 month at a time. So if it's right now, I could only sign up for the June meeting, and then after the June 1st, as of June 2nd, I can start signing up for July. As of the end of the July meeting, I can sign up for August. That way, there's not kind of this way to keep a running tally that you might have people signed up all for the July meeting and it isn't even the June meeting yet. And that was the primary concern of staff. I'm trying to think. Yeah, and then the only other thought that I had was just to make it clear in the policy that we live stream and make meetings open that way as well. So whatever changes the board would like to propose, I will work on those as y'all talk.
Can we go through just a couple little nit things? On the first page, the request to place item on the agenda. After the last, at the last bullet point under the request should include, there's a sentence that begins, additional items may be added to the agenda by the board on a 2/3 vote of the board members. I think that should be to the left. It's not part of the request, correct? It should be to the left margin.
Yeah, I'll fix that formatting.
Okay. Then on the next page, under request to address the board under 3, we don't do that. We don't do first for items on the agenda and then for items not on the agenda. So I think we could just strike everything after will be called upon in order signed up, period. And take out the first for items on the agenda and then for items not on the agenda. The last sentence is this process will be utilized when signing up online or on site. I think that it would be great to go to an online sign up system, maybe through Google Docs or something that would take some of this off of Donna, where the information that we need is placed on the Google Doc or something like that. It would be nice to go to that. That way we would, be able to see how many and how they come in order and stuff like that.
I'll work with Mr. Parker on that. I think that was the anticipation. We were hoping for that when the last revision was made.
Does anyone else have a problem with an online submission to speak at the board? And it can have those items at the name, their address and phone, so we have that, and then the item that they're going to be speaking to.
I guess my only question, most Google Docs that I've seen are signups. You can see the other participants. Is that going to create a problem?
I wouldn't show, I would hope that we could hide that and it would just go one by one in.
I will work on that, on talking with Jay about how to hide that. It's not confidential information because obviously the people announce their name and address at the board meeting. So it's not necessarily confidential, but it's harder. It makes it harder to capture if it's not in that form.
Or maybe if we put a disclosure in the sign up that it is public information.
Right.
But like even at the last meeting, we were not making people say their address and their phone number.
That's correct.
So
They don't have to say it out loud, but it would be on the Google Doc. So like we
it
had,
shouldn't, but you don't want that visible to
right, correct.
all the people out there that can pull that up. I mean, what's the point of having it on the Google Doc where everybody can see it if we're not going to make them say it in public anymore
I didn't
for their
mean-
safety?
Yeah, I didn't mean for the Google Doc to be public. Everything we do is public. So even if we hid the Google Doc from the public, if there was a public record request, we would still have to turn that over. So, but
Including
in
that sign-in sheet, yeah.
right, and the same as with the sign-up sheet. I just thought it would be an easier way to do it, and in a way that the system automatically does it instead of them having to call and sign up. But if nobody likes that, I'm good with it. I just thought it was an easier way to do it. But I would not like it if the only way we can do the Google Doc is if it's public facing, then I'm against it.
I'll work with Mr. Parker.
So this number 4 is something I've never seen done before. So if a lot of people are all signed up for the same thing, you can request for them not to speak 7 times on the same topic. You can request for them to speak as a group and give them 5 minutes instead of everybody speaking on the same topic.
That's always been in policy. I don't know that any of our chairs the board has ever exercised that authority.
I've never seen the sign up sheet. Does the sign up sheet have their topic? Is that part of the sign up?
It does.
So like, I know Donna told me this month she has about 5 or 6 people all signed up to talk about the same thing. Can Donna call them back and say that, 5 of you are speaking on the same thing, so we're going to make you speak as a group and you'll get 5 minutes?
The board could do that. Donna cannot make that decision on her own. The board could direct her to do that.
For the designation.
I guess
So we'd have to wait till June 1st.
Now we could, change the policy. I just would not, I would be
No, I'm not
concerned.
saying change the policy. No one has ever recommended number 4 before. I've never seen number 4 enacted before. So I guess I'm asking for your help. Can you explain number 4 to me?
Yeah.
How would we have to wait till June 1st, or do I start making phone calls now?
I think, I think the board because it has the board, where is this one?
Yeah, it says the board may provide.
Yeah, So I think that you would need to, at the meeting, looking at the sheet, say,
Okay.
we have these 5 speakers, and then someone could make a motion to say, well, I move, that we limit this. I would be
To-
concerned designating that authority to Don. I think that would make it hard
No,
for
that
her.
wasn't I apologize. That's not my recommendation. I
Okay.
was asking for someone to
Yeah.
walk me through number 4.
Yeah,
How
I
would
think
we do that?
Yeah, I think it would be a motion at the meeting to
Okay.
do that. I don't think people have turned other members have typically looked at the sign-in sheet to know what that is, but that may be something that the board needs to consider does everybody want to look at the sign-in sheet ahead of time so someone could make that motion?
Because,
So it goes with number 5 too, a little bit, doesn't
mhm,
it? Because it
it
says the
does.
board may provide for the selection of delegates from groups of persons, same thing, wishing to attend the hearing if it exceeds the capacity of the meeting room.
Yeah, I think the first one deals more with public comments, and the second one, because it has the word hearing in it, would lead me to believe that's more of a public hearing. But I don't know that that's how it was intended.
Well, this isn't the public hearing.
Right. I know. It just doesn't make
Section.
sense to me that it has the hearing word in there.
So then that needs to come out and go somewhere else.
What I can do is just, when the number of persons wishes to attend the meeting exceeds the capacity of the meeting room as opposed to hearing.
Okay.
I know we've gotten some comments on the allotted 30 minutes. What are everybody's take on that? I mean, I think this month there's some hot topics and.
Can I just give two? Can I just finish my little things?
Mhm.
Number 14 kind of sticks out. I don't know why that's there. I would delete it. And then under 17, with the paragraph that begins citizens wishing to be placed on the list, should go to the left margin. It's not underneath 17.
I'll fix both those.
Okay. And that was all my nits.
Why do you want to take number 14 out? I can't hear you.
I don't think we've allowed signs to date, but we could certainly.
There's nothing in the policy about signs. And then all of a sudden there's this thing that sticks out. That's what I said. Does it need to come out completely? Do we need to have something about signs in here? I don't know. It just sticks out because there's nothing in the policy that talks about signs.
Well, I think 14 is where we talk about it. I guess I don't understand what you're saying, Kat.
Michelle, what were you saying? Michelle, you were saying something about signs.
I don't know that, yeah, I have to talk to Mr. McGraw. I've not seen signs ever be brought into our board meetings. I don't know if people have tried and it's been stopped, or if I've never seen one. And I've not seen them stacked outside. So it doesn't lead me to believe that people have brought them and we've said no. I just think that we've not yet experienced that.
My concern is if we take it out, now we brought attention to it, so now people will bring signs. So Kathy, I'll just turn it over to you.
That was all I had. If we're wanting to leave it in, I'm fine with that.
I guess my only concern is that considering the climate these days, that if we take it out, signs are going to start showing up.
I already said I'm good. It doesn't matter.
Anything further?
So
All right,
they
going
can
back
bring-
to, I guess, number 1, where we're talking about the 30 minutes set aside. I know we had quite a few people sign up this month or for next month for June that have gotten turned away and are asking for additional minutes. Just like to open that up for discussion.
So
Ms.
I
Shirley,
go ahead. What'd you say, Melissa?
And it's really interesting too that the minutes filled up at the May meeting coincidentally, along with our YouTube video being taken down, and everyone that signed up in May were on the same topic. Everyone that signed up for June are on the opposing topic. And so that's why I think we may have to start enacting number 4. But as far as number 1, I think we could say regular meetings set aside 30 minutes. And then the board may provide for an additional 30 minutes if they sign up at the meeting, like I guess prior to the meeting. Okay. Did someone say something?
No, that was Daisy barking, sorry.
Oh. So I'm like, okay, Daisy. So that's one suggestion I have.
Okay, I took a look at the top 10 districts just to see what everybody else is doing, just to give us some idea. Maybe it's not helpful, maybe it is helpful. Johnston County, CMS, and Chapel Hill all have unlimited public comments. Last night at the CMS board meeting, they had 2.5 hours of public comments.
Yeah, I heard there were 50 people that spoke.
Yes.
Were they all speaking on the same thing out of curiosity?
Yeah, it was about a reassignment that they have talked about, but not even given parameters around it, but a lot of people spoke.
Okay.
Iredell, Statesville has 30 minutes total, except the majority of the board can extend it, which is, I think, what you are saying, Melissa. Okay. Cabarrus has 30 minutes, but the board can vote by majority to reduce the time to get everything in 30 minutes, which means that you would reduce the amount, the 30 minutes to 2 minutes or 1 minute to get everybody in the 30 minutes. Gaston County also has 30 minutes. If there's more speakers than the 30 minutes, you could those people can be heard after the business session of the board. So at the end of the meeting instead of the beginning meeting. Wake County has the same thing as Gaston, 30 minutes. Board can extend time or speak at the end of the business agenda. Cumberland County has 30 minutes total, just like ours. It has nothing else to it. Durham has 30 minutes, but the board chair can grant speakers to have 1 to 3 minutes to fit everything into the 30 minutes. And Winston-Salem, Forsyth, and Guilford County, I could not find them. Their policy manual is not good. So that's what I got. So you're talking about the 30 minutes total, except by majority of the board, add additional. Is that what you were saying, Melissa? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that we would keep the 30 minutes for public comments, but we would add that that the board could vote at the meeting to the board may provide an additional time if speakers sign up at the meeting.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, if someone signs up prior to the meeting and the docket is full, they would be turned their way and they would be asked to come to the meeting in hopes that we would open the docket back up.
Don't we also, doesn't Donna keep a, what is it, waitlist as well?
She does.
She does. So would that waitlist then go to the, if we extended the time, would it go with the wait list first and then?
I think that's a great idea. I think the wait list would have to be provided to the board at our seat when we get there, so we could see how many are on the wait list. And that would give us an idea of what the motion would have to be, like how many minutes we're going to provide for additional speakers.
And I guess we could also, okay,
I'm sorry, I'm assuming this motion would have to go in front of public comments, correct?
So,
yeah. when, yeah.
So could we have it either or, I guess, or both, with the majority of the board voting for an additional 30 minutes and or reducing the time that each speaker can speak? So let's say you have a lot of people showing up, you can, or we can ask them to get together as a group, right? Or we can ask to say, we're going to drop down to 2 minutes for each speaker because we have so many. Do we want to have some options, or do we, or?
I think the options, I think it would be good options that, that we would let them decide if they're going to come together. I don't think we should dictate. I don't like making people
I agree.
reduce them down to 5 minutes, but if they choose to, they can.
Yep.
And I'm not really crazy about reducing their minutes because most people, I don't see how people can really speak in 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay. What about sending it, the over people to the end of the business meeting?
I say do it during public comments. That's just my personal preference, but I'm open to suggestions.
And I guess another option would be to, at some point when we got a lot of people wanting to speak, I mean, we could call just a separate public meeting, could we not?
Public hearing, you mean?
A public hearing.
But the typically.
Keep it at 30
Michelle,
minutes. And if we get an extra 10, 15 people to sign up, then it's up to the board if we call a public hearing.
I hear you, but a public hearing is typically for 1 or 2 like items.
Topics,
it's not
right.
for a bunch of people just talking, right? It would be about something specific. Like for realignment, we had public hearings. Can you have more than Michelle, more than 1 item or more than 1 discussion topic? That's the word I'm thinking of.
Typically, I think you're right. A public hearing is on a specified, topic. But you could say anybody who wants to speak about, as in CMS, this realignment, we will have this public hearing on this date. We will not be taking comments on this topic at board meetings. This is your opportunity to speak.
My personal preference would be just that the board may provide for additional minutes for people on the wait list or people that sign up at the meeting, than to schedule another whole day for a hearing. Just 1 more meeting. I kind of like the idea of just editing number 1.
I agree with you. I do like what you said about having a sheet when we sit down so that we know what that list looks like so that we can be prepared to vote prior to the public comment.
My only concern is taking away their minutes because I know that people try to prepare their speech to stay within 3 minutes or, 3 minutes or less. So I don't know how people would be able to cut that, if we took that away from them.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. What is the, and I know that there are people who and I saw the emails about people who would like to speak more, not speak more, but because of the time limit, they're not able to speak. So I think, not a question, but a comment. I think so that we can be fair across the board at each board meeting, because let's be honest, there are going to be some topics that you all want to hear, and there are going to be some topics that I don't want to hear, and vice versa. And so just so we can be fair and make sure that we are not showing favoritism to certain topics that we want to hear, if we just leave it at 30 minutes and it is your responsibility to sign up ahead of time, then I think that would be the best way to do it, because at the end of the day, it's going to be lengthy. And as I think somebody, Miss Kathy mentioned about 2.5 hours for public speaking, and that's a long time. That's a long time to deal with public speaking, and we have not even touched the agenda yet of
And I
what we
guess,
need to
right.
talk about.
The question though, are you guys talking about, Todd and Melissa, about additional 30 minutes or unlimited time? So the
Well, I guess
board,
that would be voted
My
on.
recommendation was an additional 30 minutes,
Okay.
or the board can do it in 30-minute blocks.
I like that. Matt, I do think we need to limit it at
Mhm.
in some point, you know,
agree with John. Yeah.
either
Yeah.
if we do
I
it
mean,
in 30-minute
because you
blocks or
have to
just an extra 30 minutes.
Because you do have to remember, you know, staff has been at work, you know, all day, and I'm not, we can't sit there like Reverend Kirkpatrick said, you know, sit there, you know, and listen to all of this, and we haven't even touched the agenda yet. But we do have to remember they're taxpayers and people are allowed to speak. You know, so we wouldn't exist without taxpayers.
That's true.
So this is their opportunity to come speak at the board. So I'm pretty sure that's why other districts have unlimited minutes. But I would recommend that the board may provide for additional 30-minute blocks to get all the speakers in, and Michelle and Kathy can, you know, clean up that language. But my
But do you
recommendation,
mean, so here's my question. So we would determine by the number of people that have signed up to add additional 30-minute increments? Is that what you mean? Or we can just decide on the, decide how much we're going to add to public comments?
we could do either. My recommendation was 30-minute increments, but if you think we can do an additional 10 minutes, an additional 20 minutes, 30,
I don't
40,
want to
50,
do that.
60.
I like the 30 minutes. I just don't know if I like the incremental 30 minutes. I would be okay adding another 30 minutes to speaking, but at some point there are people watching our meetings for the business aspect of the meeting. And if we're going an hour and a half with public comments, then I get it. I get people want to speak, but it's not like we changed the policy. It's been around for a long time. So,
But as you've already outlined, you know, other districts do have other limits, unlimited and more than us. So
right. And I only did the top 10 districts. I didn't do anybody. So a third of the top 10 do unlimited.
But I think, and as you said, Ms. Melissa, that they are taxpayers and they do have a right to speak. But I don't think just because they're taxpayers, we got to let the whole county speak just because they signed up to speak for a meeting. I mean, it's called life, and I'm not trying to be funny, but if you sign up, you sign up. If you don't get it this week, the next week, all right, or next month, then make sure that you sign up, or we'll push you up from the waiting list and then you can speak. But I think that as taxpayers, sometimes we feel as though we are supposed to be just given a whole bunch of options and a whole bunch of rights, but it's called signing up on time. It's called, this is not my spot this month, so I just have to wait. So, I mean, some of the topics that people want to share, and as I mentioned a few moments ago, it's just the reality of life. There are just some things that if you start listening to it over and over and over and over again, it becomes overwhelming. It becomes very, very draining. And so, like I said, just to be fair across the board, to keep our meetings on a consistent level, because this month, the meeting may not be approved for an extra 30 minutes. And then next month, the meeting may be approved for an extra 30 minutes. And so then you're going to create what people may think is being biased. And so just to keep, I believe that fair playing field across the board, so that everyone will be allotted the same amount of time. There will be no, not saying that it would be, people would not think that it's favoritism or what have you to a certain topic. If we keep it across the board the same way, I think that would be a fair playing field for everybody and every topic of concern, because every topic is important. And so even though we want to hear from our taxpayers, just to be safe across the board, I think that would be a wise decision. But
Michelle, if you were placed on the wait list for this month, are you automatically put on the list for next month? Are you moved up to the front of the list for next month, or you have to re-sign?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'll have to follow up with Donna.
I believe that that if you don't get on it, you have to sign up for it because you can't sign up for anything before it. My understanding is that the people on the wait list would have to then go to ask to be on the next meeting.
Okay.
I've tried to capture kind of the proposals that you've talked about for revision, and let me know if this is what you're considering. That paragraph 1, after it says the board regularly sets aside 30 minutes for public comment, this is what I'm hearing you all look at. By majority vote of the board, an additional 30-minute block can be added, or additional 30-minute blocks, however you decide to go. The sign-up list will be limited by the initial 30-minute time allotted to speakers. A wait list will be collected, and speakers can attend the meeting in the event that the board extends the time allotted. Speakers will also be allowed to sign up at the meeting to speak. Does that capture the discussion?
Can you say it one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. By majority vote of the board, an additional 30-minute block can be added, or additional 30-minute blocks, however you all decide to go. The sign-up list will be limited by the initial 30-minute time allotted to speakers. A wait list will be collected, and speakers can attend the meeting in the event that the board extends the time allotted. Speakers will also be allowed to sign up at the meeting to speak.
So the speakers on the wait list will get the first dibs versus somebody walking into the meeting, not being on the list.
Correct.
And I say that we encourage them to take the 5 minutes, in the event this happens, because like Reverend Kirkpatrick said, a lot of them end up speaking about the same topic, over and over times 3 minutes. So we could begin to enact number 4 and encourage those topics, to join together as a group and receive 5 minutes. And Reverend Kirkpatrick, one thing I did want you to know is none of us see the sign-up sheet and the topics. So I think you had made a comment earlier about sometimes there's topics we want to hear and sometimes there's topics we don't want to hear. Donna holds that sign-up sheet, and we don't see it until we get to the meeting. So we have no control of, we have no influence over topics, or we don't know anything until we get to the meeting and she puts the sign-up sheet at my seat. So I just wanted to be clear that we have no influence over whether it's something we want to hear or we don't want to hear.
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware of that. I'm just saying in reference to once it comes, then we make a decision. So we have a choice to pick or choose.
And that's why I think number 4 is so interesting, because I've never seen that used before. So I think as a board, we need to keep number 4 in our back pocket to limit, because like you said, we can't sit there for 2.5 hours and not get to the agenda or the purpose of the meeting. So, but I do like the 30-minute block. I would just ask the other board members or committee members, do we want to take out block and just say not to exceed an hour, or?
So that's what I was just going to bring up. If we have an additional 4 blocks of 30 increments, that's 2.5 hours for public comment in a board meeting. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for people coming to our board meetings and speak, but that's a lot of time before we even get to the business of the meeting. And there are people who want to know the business of the meeting. So I'm okay for an additional 30-minute block, but if we give any more than 1 additional block, it should go after the business of the meeting, because we're there to also do the business of the district. And there's people wanting to watch that don't want to wait till 10 o'clock at night to do it.
I agree with your recommendation, Kathy. I'd like to hear from Reverend Kirkpatrick and Mr. Price. I say that public comments is regularly set aside 30 minutes. That's the regular procedure. And that the board may provide an additional 30-minute block. And if there's any speaker, so that public comments does not exceed 60, an hour. And if there are any speakers after public comments, we could move it to the end of the meeting. I agree.
I like that.
That's still extending the meeting to another. We just moved it to another spot in the meeting.
No,
So-
we limited public comments, that part on the agenda, not to exceed an hour, 60 minutes.
But what I'm saying is, if
And
we, so if it's an hour and then we do the business part of the meeting, so after all of the business is done, then if there are people who decide to stay to give public comments, they can speak at the end of the meeting. Is that correct?
I think that's what I heard. Kathy, would we adjourn the meeting and board, to let staff members go home? Or what are your thoughts around the end of the meeting? And Michelle, I guess I need legal advice also.
Michelle, give the legal advice first.
I don't know that there's a legal issue per se. Another option that I had thought about is that if a speaker can't present their information in this hour allotted, they could provide you comments in writing.
Yeah,
And
I
then you
like
would,
that.
then you'd be
Yeah.
limited. So you could have by majority vote of the board, an additional time frame may be authorized not to exceed one total hour for public comments.
See, I agree with, I like that. Just 1 30-minute increment
Block,
Yeah,
would be good. Because
not
that
to
gives us
exceed 60
an
minutes.
hour, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And we can encourage people to speak in groups. So
Yeah.
if everybody's a group, that would be 12 groups get to speak, or 20, 33-minute ones, if my math is correct.
I like that.
And then I could add, if a speaker is unable to present his or her information within the specified time, the speaker may provide the board with information in written form.
I
Like
think we
that.
already have the written form thing, right? Don't we?
I
Lindsay?
added that above number 3 where it says any handouts will not be
Okay.
distributed. I
Okay.
just thought that might give people, if the intent is to speak to you all, that
Okay.
gives them that opportunity. If the intent is to speak to the world, then that's different.
So we're good with one, that the board may provide an additional 30 minutes
Yeah.
by majority of the board. Okay.
So I
And I-
think take out the word block.
Yeah, or yes, additional 30
And-
minutes. Sorry, yes,
and-
yes.
Yeah, and that public comments will not exceed 60 minutes.
Okay.
But we are saying the extra 30 minutes will be voted on by the board.
Correct,
As a public comment.
Yes.
correct.
In order to do this for the next meeting, which is June 1, how do we have to suspend the 2 meeting thing, or how does that work, Michelle, if we wanted to do it for the upcoming meeting?
Yeah, it would basically be a 2 to 3 step process. We would need to amend the agenda to move this policy, because this policy will go, I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, normally it would go into policies for first review. We would need to put this above public comments on the agenda. And then we would need to, and this committee can direct that. So I guess that we can do that today and put this above that on the agenda. And then it would need to get fast tracked. So you'd have to have, I think it's a super majority agree to approve it under fast track, which is 6
Okay.
of 9.
Okay.
So what the change that I've got, and I'll read it. So because since we don't have it in front of you, and I'll send this to everybody and obviously be posted in board docs. By majority vote of the board, an additional time frame may be authorized not to exceed 60 total minutes for public comments. A sign-up list will be limited to the initial 30-minute time allotted to speakers. A wait list will be collected and speakers can attend the meeting in the event the board extends the time allotted. Speakers will also be allowed to sign up at the meeting to speak. And then to 3, I'm adding, if a speaker is unable to present his or her information within the specified time allotted, the speaker may provide the board with the information in written format.
So everything you just said, Michelle, does that replace number 1 or does that?
That will go after the board regularly sets aside 30 minutes for public comment.
So that would be a
Period.
new number 2?
I was going to add it to number 1 after the
Oh.
30-minute comment, but I can make it a number 2.
I'll say make it a number 2. That's another option.
Gotcha.
What do you think, Todd?
I like it. I mean, in the back of my mind, I know we have some hot topics now and we have a lot of people wanting to voice their opinion. But also remember not too distant board meetings when we have not had any public comment. So, you know, I know we're going to have some meetings that we may have to stay 45 minutes for public comment, but we also have some meetings that we have 1 or 2 people or maybe none speak. So, and we can always revisit it as well.
And we can also add some language at the bottom that, you know, make a, I don't know what number we're at now, but the very bottom that says that the board can establish additional procedures.
So I guess my question is that the recommendation of this committee to fast track this for our June meeting as outlined by Michelle. I would say I would vote for that myself.
So this would go in operation next week.
If it was voted by the majority of the board.
Okay.
It go to the board to be voted on. If it passed, it would be implemented in June, correct, Michelle?
Could be, that's what the board decides to do.
So the individuals on the current waiting list will not be the ones who would speak after the already delegated individuals, or they will?
They would be if they were there.
Okay.
They would. So it would be first the people that signed up in the first 30 minutes, then the wait list, then anybody that signs up at the board meeting. Correct?
Within that time frame y'all are allowing.
Within the time frame, right? But that's how the grouping would go.
That's the priority, yep.
Thank you.
Just to confirm a question earlier, if you're currently on the wait list, you don't automatically go to the next meeting. You have to sign up again. So I just wanted, conveniently, I was able to confirm that. So I wanted to let you know.
Okay.
So
And
Michelle, how do
Kathy said that too.
do we have to vote to fast track it?
No.
I'm muting you all. The board would have to vote to fast track it. At this point, what you would do is vote to put it on the agenda. And then the board, then someone can make a motion at the meeting to fast track it.
So we would have to make a motion to amend the agenda first and then.
You know, I initially said that, but I
Can
think that
Melissa-
you all could make a motion to put it on the agenda above public comments as opposed to
Okay.
in the normal place.
And
Unless Mrs. Merrill is uncomfortable with that. since
Can
she
you
set
read
the
it
agenda.
again? Can you read it again?
Yeah.
I hate not seeing it in front of me. So
And-
go
and
ahead.
I'm going to send this
Yeah.
to you all as soon as we're done. Absolutely.
Okay.
Or I can send it right now if that helps.
That would help.
Sure.
And I just want to confirm that number 1 stays the same.
That's what
Number
I've got
one,
current. Yeah.
What's number 1?
The 30-minute time frame.
That 30 minutes, that the board regularly sets aside 30 minutes for public comments. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes for additional comments or 5 minutes when representing a group. Once the speaker has been designated as a group, representatives represent all speakers from that group. So I just want to confirm that we're keeping that the same. That is our regular procedure. And then what Michelle's getting ready to read would be number 2.
Correct. Okay, what I have drafted is that by a majority vote of the board, an additional time frame may be authorized not to exceed 60 total minutes for public comments, or exceed a total of 60 minutes. I'm sorry. The sign-up list will be limited by the initial 30-minute time allotted to speakers. A wait list will be collected and speakers can attend the meeting in the event that the board extends the time period allotted. Speakers will also be allowed to sign up at the meeting to speak. And then in 3, if a speaker is unable to present his or her information within the specified time allotted, the speaker may provide the board with the information in written form. And I'm sending this to y'all right now.
I just want to clarify that we're not adding 60 minutes. We're
The total of all the public comments
Yeah.
would be 60. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I just wonder if we could clean that up a little bit, that number 2 says we could add an additional 30 minutes for,
Not to
so
exceed a total.
not to exceed a total of 60, just so that someone can't misread it or misunderstand that they think we could add another hour.
Yeah, it says not to exceed a total of 60 minutes for public comments is the draft
Okay.
that I have.
Okay. Okay. That works for me. We can, now, Michelle, can you, whatever the direction of this committee is, can you update, the agenda, in board docs today?
I can.
Okay.
The
Any other
only,
discussion?
there's
I'm
one
sorry.
other proposed change in the draft that I've sent to you all, and that is to clean up, we've had some questions about, and I've seen some of the messages of, we'll just hold another meeting. And I added language, the request to address the board, the very beginning of that page 205 says a part of each regularly scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. I proposed adding, if the board does not hold a regular meeting during a month, the board will not provide a time for public comment at any other meeting held during that month. That way, in the event that you do a budget work session or something like that, there's not a question that you would be providing public.
That was
comments
in
at
a
that
bunch
meeting.
of other
Yeah,
policies in the districts I looked at. Yep.
yeah. So that just clarifies that, so there's not a question in the community.
I like that.
And then I added it at the tail saying that you can change your procedures as for an orderly and efficient meeting if something
Oh,
happens.
yeah, I like that.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll move to policy 2-50, settlement of claims.
Okay, this one should be easier. I tried to make the policy cleaner. And the other changes in this, I'm sorry, I'm looking the wrong way because I'm reading, were based on case law. So
Miss
it's
Michelle.
legal changes.
I have
Miss
some,
Michelle, excuse me. Did we vote on this?
no. We
We
usually
usually-
vote at the end of both. when
Oh,
we go.
okay.
But we're gonna have to take that one separate because it
Right.
has a separate thing. So do you want to, Todd, do you want to do the vote now for it or at the end?
We can. Well, since Michelle's already started, let's do it at the
I'm
end.
sorry.
Okay. Okay, on page 1, its attorney should be changed to general counsel. On page 2 at the bottom, the strikeout, why can we not measure the potential defense cost and the amount it's gonna cost us to do it?
That came out of some concerns that a court had in a case. And so the recommendation from the School Boards Association and the Council of School Attorneys is to remove that language for protection to
Okay.
the board.
Okay, the next page, on page 3, second bullet, whether an employee or agent of the board, who's an agent of the board that's not an employee?
Could be a contractor, somebody who's not regularly employed by the district.
Okay. And the second to last bullet, goodwill on behalf of the citizens of the school community. What is that? I mean,
Sometimes you may decide it's just a good thing to do. It's just the right thing to do to settle the case. I don't know. You don't need that. It just was proposed language from the School Boards Association.
And Michelle, just a question on the
I think
first
the
page.
last bullet takes care of that. I would strike goodwill on behalf of the citizens of the school community.
Okay, got it.
Michelle, the superintendent, the $10,000 authority he's given, is that
Yeah.
customary in the state, or has that ever been changed? To me, that seems kind of low.
That's pretty customary.
Mhm.
And he rarely uses it. We do a report when he does it, and I can't recall the last time that he settled something on behalf of the board.
Is it because nothing's coming in under 10,000, or he just doesn't use it?
Probably in part.
I guess
but-
that's part of my question. Is that something, I mean, is it relevant that he has $10,000 authority if he?
Yeah, the ones
We're gonna get sued for $10,000.
that generally that he uses his settlement authority on tend to be smaller workers' comp, smaller slip, trips and fall cases, perhaps a special education case where we're paying some attorney's fees. You know, I think $10,000 for the types of cases that you would not want the board involved in, because if it's not below $10,000, it's going to be really high. So it probably makes sense to, leave it at that. And then if there's cases, if we start to see cases where it would be easier for him to settle, or we have time frames, we can bring it back to the board. But in my 13 years here, it's never been an issue that he or she has needed more than $10,000.
Okay, very good.
When that happens, Michelle, should the board be notified that the superintendent made that decision for 7,000, 2,000? Is the board informed? Because I've never
If
heard of that either.
Yeah, when you, it's rare, but sometimes in the FYI section of the materials, there's a settled claims
Mhm.
attachment, and that's the report. So I can't recall the last time we did it. It's probably
Okay.
been 8 months, I think I've
Okay.
done it once. I do maybe once a year, and it's a, couple, $1,000 case.
Mhm. I think it would be nice in closed session or something if that would be mentioned in closed session, just to bring it to the board's attention.
Will do.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we will vote on taking policy 1-12, public participation at board meetings, for first review with, I guess, modifications as read by Michelle to our June 1st meeting.
And for my clarification, if there's a motion, do you want that in the normal position on policies for first review, or would you like it at the beginning of the meeting?
I think it needs to be at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, not first review.
Okay.
To be fast tracked. Yeah.
Okay. So to clarify, to take policy 112, public participation at board meetings, to the June 1st board meeting prior to public comment with revisions.
Second, or so moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Does your motion include fast tracking? Yes, it does. Okay, thank you, Michelle.
It did.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those not? Got one. So it goes to the full board June 1st, 3-1. And next is to take policy 50 settlement of claims to the full board June the 1st for first review.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our next board meeting is June 23rd at 9 o'clock. And I'm assuming that's going to be, Michelle, is that in person next month?
However y'all would like it, we're here at your service.
What is the consensus of this committee? I like Zoom, but I am open either way.
Rather than me.
I'm good with Zoom.
Kathy?
That's fine. I won't be at the June 23rd meeting.
I think it, Michelle, you had a comment last time that you'd like to do it in conjunction with,
I'll work with SPTT because they follow each other.
okay,
And make sure that it's hard for staff to do one face-to-face and one virtual because
Yeah.
of the way they have to.
and it sounds like this committee could accommodate either, so just let us know.
Okay, I'll let you know what I can get with SPTT.
Okay.
We've been lucky that we've not had to have SPTT today, so.
All right,
Okay.
and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.